My name is Dayton, but my friends call me a mutant. They're just joking, but why do they call me that? There is still a reason. I have some superpowers, and I'm going to tell you about them. And you watch until the end of my story and write your comments. I was born a very ordinary child. Grew up in a family of doctors. My parents have been internists at a local hospital for many years. I have a little brother named Pharrell, who's a little smarter than me, but I'm prettier. Just kidding. He really is a very smart kid. I always thought he'd become a medic in the future too. Most of all, Pharrell loves to treat animals, whether they're mice, dogs or birds. If he sees that something is limping or lying down, he immediately runs to help. And he made me participate in it. While I was holding the animals, he gave them injections, injected them with a medication and took their temperature. Pharrell, if I happen to be working for you, then give me my share, the interest. I want half of your earnings. First of all, I don't earn anything because no one pays me. The animals are either homeless or their owners are my penniless friends. Where will I get my earnings from? That's what I mean. With what speed you provide help. You could have already opened your own clinic, but you're too kind. I'll open it in the future when I become a veterinarian, but in the meantime, keep quiet and hold the cat tight. Hey, aren't you afraid of catching something from your patients? You're a novice doctor. You don't know much. I work carefully, always wearing gloves, everything is sterile. And how many times I tell you about the gloves and the mask, but you don't listen. Oh shit, you'll still pay me for the harmfulness. Oh shit, you're bleeding, let me treat you. Well, no, treat the animals, not me. I'm going for a better swim. I understand, but he gets out of the cage by himself and eats everything. Will you help him? As usual, leave it to me for a couple of hours. Day, can we go for a walk? Okay, I'll just change. I went into the room, and when I put on another t-shirt, my head was a little dizzy. I did not pay attention and I went for a walk. Sarah and I decided to go home to our friend Ernest on our bikes. After rolling a few kilometres, I began to choke and sweat profusely. That's not like you don't usually get tired. The doctors told me that I was infected with an unknown virus from the animal. Because of this, there was an inflammation in the body. Dayton, you're going to have to stay here under observation. We haven't quite figured out what we're dealing with yet, but you'll be fine, okay? Is it that serious? You need to rest. While you rest, I'll tell your family about everything. Mum, what's for lunch? Oh, you're awake. As always, your favourite casserole. Great. I'm going to eat it, and then I have to run to the extra ones. Why don't you go? What? I miss school so much, and I still have to go to Dr. Spencer's. Why is he so interested in me? He discharged me a couple of weeks ago, and already missed me, and invited me to visit. Mum thought for a moment, and then said, be careful, okay? Sure, Mum. Bye. When Dayton walked into the school, the kids were happy to see him. They greeted him warmly, and they walked him into the classroom. A teacher came in and asked the boys to help another teacher rearrange the classroom. Dayton went to help too. I grabbed my desk, tried to move it, and I didn't see that Nicky was walking behind me. He was also carrying a table. We collided, and I fell. The desk landed on my fingers. The guys rushed to help, cleared the table, and I sat and looked at the broken arm and realised I didn't feel anything. At first, I was told I was in shock, but it was very strange. I immediately called the doctor, and he told me to come to his clinic. The guys were with me. They took me to him, and I told them my feelings, or rather, the absence of the feelings. You see, Dayton, after you suffered that unknown infection, something in your body has changed. The nerve endings stopped responding properly to external factors. In short, you don't feel any pain now. What? That's cool. Or not? We are not sure of our conclusions yet, so I asked for you to be under my supervision. But in the meantime, do not take risks and do not experiment. Whatever you say, doctor. They put me in a cast, gave me medicine, and I went home. I didn't think it was such a bad thing not to feel pain. I thought it was a gift. As soon as I told the guys about it, they were thrilled. We started experimenting. I was kicked between the legs, hit in the face, I bit my tongue, and then I got a tattoo on my ribs. I was riding a bike at high speed. It all seemed funny. And then the reverse side came out. I rubbed my eyes whilst I was sleeping, and I didn't know if it hurt or not. After the infection started, I couldn't open my eyes, but I didn't understand why. Then they brought me to the doctor, and he examined me. You have an eye infection. It's supposed to be very painful, but you don't feel it at all. so we'll have to put you in the hospital to monitor your body's reaction, since you can't tell us anything. Is it that bad? We'll cure you." The doctor left the room and Pharrell entered. He was very sad at the sight of his brother. He immediately hugged him. "It's all my fault." "Don't you think so? That is not true." "It is so. If it wasn't for the cat, you wouldn't... Come on, it's okay. It will be fine. In the end, what if I'm really a superhero? I know what kind of disease you have. It will change your whole life. In a bad way. And it's not treated. Do you understand?" Dayton was quiet. Silent, in fact. Then he turned and he said, "I trust the doctor. He will definitely help me. I would give you anything to help." Dayton hugged his crying brother, calmed him down, and then went to bed. 2 years have passed since then. I'm not cured yet, but I'm still fighting. Bro was right. It changed my life. Now I'm in control of my every move, but there's still hope. I'm not going to give up. Pharrell is working on my diagnosis, constantly learning new things. At one point he will succeed. I can only hope and believe. Have you ever come across anything like this? And what would you do in my place? Tell me, did you guys like my story? Write your opinion about it in the comments below. Do not forget to put the likes, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.
Hey, my name is Kay Jane. I'm 17 years old and I have a strange feature. I don't know how to have fun. Yes, nothing at all. From anything. How do I live with it? Now I tell. I was born an ordinary child in a normal family. As a child, everything was fine for me. I was taken to various clubs, sports. I loved playing football, getting high from running, and I was especially happy when I scored goals against the opponent. I was also a great guitar player. I used to write songs and select music myself, and then perform for my family on holidays. I was always applauded. At this moment, my heart sank with pleasure. I also loved to eat, and I had a great preference for Korean cuisine. Spicy noodles, rice with meat, fish with sauce, their famous kimchi, and all this washed down with cold soda. I also enjoyed reading. Taking a shower, I liked the smell of my favorite perfume, the touch of a soft air blanket, but the greatest pleasure I got with my girlfriend, Catherine. She evoked so many emotions in me. I loved her to distraction, went crazy from her sweet voice, gorgeous figure, from our kisses. She constantly hugged me and I felt the warmth of her body. And when we read together with her, ate, made love, it was the greatest peak of pleasure. So one day, I had an argument with the teacher at school. I failed the exam. It was my own fault. I didn't prepare well, and I failed. The teacher told me to retake in 2 weeks, and I had plans. Catherine and I were supposed to go to a friend's house for a couple of days to celebrate the start of summer vacation. It was my last exam, and I just couldn't study anymore. I wanted to get out of here with the girl I loved. So I had a fight with the teacher, and he kicked me out of the class and said he wouldn't accept me until I had learned a lot of lectures. It's unreal. He was bullying me. I left the office very angry and got into a car as the rain poured down with a terrible wind. I drove towards the house at high speed. I saw a dog around a sharp bend, turned sharply to the left and cut into the car. I passed out instantly, came to myself in the hospital. Many wires and droppers were connected to me. I felt bad. My mother immediately came up to me. She began to cry and calm me down. I didn't know what was going on. Later, the doctor came and told me that I had an accident and was now in the hospital. At least the person I hit wasn't hurt. Then my Catherine ran up to me. She was so tearful, swollen with red eyes. I've never seen her like this in my life. She was scared as hell. Rena hugged me and put her hand on my cheek, but I didn't feel anything. There was no warmth, no humidity from the kiss. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel anything at all. In my head, a lot of thoughts, questions. In the background, my mother asked something from the doctor, and I keep thinking about it. Rena called me, and I looked at her and asked her to kiss me again. She kissed me on the other cheek, then on the lips, and laughed, adding, "You just need a kiss." Then I asked her to take my hand, and she said that she already keeps it, and then I was no longer in the mood for jokes. I was scared. I started to panic. "Doctor, am I paralyzed?" He looked at me in surprise, asked me to do a couple of exercises, but everything was normal. I could move my arms, legs, and head. I explained that I didn't feel anything. Doc checked for himself and fell into a stupor. He told me not to panic, and then instructed the nurse to run some tests on me. Within a few days, I was diagnosed with a couple of things, including something like burnout. Complete bullshit. I couldn't have this condition because I was happy. Almost always. I lived in my own pleasure. Everything was fine. With my family, with my girlfriend. I didn't complain about anything. And you know, the most annoying thing is that I almost do not experience positive emotions. Is that negative? I was discharged from the hospital and I came home in a bad mood. This is a normal state for me now. I tried, on the advice of doctors, to make an appointment with a psychologist. Diligently visited him twice a week. But otherwise, I picked up the guitar and didn't know if I was holding it or not. My hands are neither cold nor hot, so I can easily bathe in cold water, but I can't play the strings anymore. I don't feel hot food or cold. I don't feel the taste. I almost don't feel pain. And the worst part is that I don't enjoy it. In addition to everyday tasks that became meaningless, my relationship with Rena reached a dead end. She certainly tried to cheer up, read a lot of materials in the field of medicine, trying to understand how to deal with my illness, but it did not help. She spent all the holidays and hovered over me like a bee, bring, serve, clean, and she kissed and hugged me. But no, none of this worked. What I have learned over the years is that it is a malfunction in my body, a certain pathology that has not yet been invented, either a treatment or a name. My life has changed dramatically by 360 degrees. I withdrew into myself, stopped communicating with my friends, dropped out of school, and broke off my relationship with Catherine. Ask why so radically? I don't want to be treated like I'm about to die. And even more so, Catherine is a beautiful girl. She deserves better, so I couldn't afford to ruin her life. Given that I had become an emotional vegetable, I couldn't even give her sex. Therefore, I consider my decision to be correct. What is happening to me now? I'm still so special, only now I've learned to live with my body. I started talking to my friends again. They are already used to the fact that I just don't smile. But in general, I can talk, walk, see. After several years of training, I learned and got used to eating healthy food. Just what is needed for the body. I remember the taste sensations by heart. By the way, do you remember my girlfriend Rena? 2 years later, we met by chance in a park. She was out with her friends, and I was walking my pet dog. She saw me and immediately came over, hugged me, smiled, said I looked great. The first thing she asked about my condition. I said that nothing has changed, except that the way of life. She started crying and said she missed me, and then she kissed me. It's strange to kiss a person and almost not feel it. Catherine wrote every day. I understood what she wanted. In the end, we had a serious conversation with her about us. She said that in these 2 years, she had not talked to any of the guys, and she accused me of not giving her a choice. I apologized, and that's all I could do. In general, we have been together again for almost a year. Rena is used to me, as I am to myself. It makes me feel much better. Who knows, maybe her love will heal me.